This presentation is a posthumanistic reading of Ex Machina. Technoscience challenges ideas about being in this world and what it means to be human, and posthumanism has caught on to that in thinking about the human not being above non-humans and moving forward from Cartesian and anthropocentric theory. Science fiction is an excellent tool to better understand these big questions that posthumanism raises. Catherine Hales champions the idea of an interaction between physical science and arts and humanities to inform and shape each other, just as humans and technology do. Scott Buchman already writes about this in the 1990s when he analyzes films like Videodrome, Robocop, and Blade Runner and links technological revolutions to changes in our human sense of self and reality, and how technology becomes more intertwined with humans. An analysis of Alex Garland's Ex Machina presents us with insights in our current state as humanity, but maybe more important for post-humanistic thought, with ideas to move forward as a species in times of rapidly evolving fields of artificial intelligence and algorithms. The film opens with Caleb receiving the news that he has won a week with his techno-entrepreneur boss Nathan in his mansion, and we see how he receives messages and how his facial features are scanned, and we don't hear any diegetic sound because he has his headphones in. He's plugged into the machine in a way. Hales notes that technological behavior becomes embodied in the way that humans interact with machines. Human behavior becomes in the same way embodied through the way that machines interact with humans. And advanced AI with sensors know what it is like to be human. Donna Haraway points out in A Cyborg Manifesto that we have become networks of systems that process flows of information by which we regulate our different selves in relation to the outside world. The outside world is also a network of systems that we are plugged into. When Caleb is dropped off by the helicopter pilot at Nathan's estate, he is advised to follow the river. His phone shows no network. He is unplugged from his usual networks of systems, and now he must use the natural system of the water network to find his way. Because humans understand and control the networks of systems, Rosi Bradotti urges us to ask ourselves the question, in what direction are we taking these and who decides this? Most importantly, in posthumanism, the question of who holds the power is a fundamental one. Caleb has actually not won a prize, but he has been selected on the basis of his online data that Nathan has harvested. This to participate in a version of the Turing test in which Nathan has set up his most sophisticated AI, Ava, to manipulate Caleb. Nathan has also harvested the data of millions of others, and here we can see how the user and the machines and the one in power are all connected via their networks of systems and have great influence on each other and how they manipulate each other. When asking Nathan about the reason to give Ava a gender, Caleb gets at first a superficial answer about fun and sex, but Nathan also brings up something really interesting when he says, I programmed her to be heterosexual, just as you were programmed to be heterosexual. Biologically, Caleb is programmed with genes and hormonal structures to be heterosexual, but the networks of systems that influence him also drastically change him as a person. And this makes us see how these networks of systems are connected and how they work. By giving Ava a female gender and a drive to seduce Caleb, Nathan enforces power structures that Donna Haraway points out do not have to apply to a cyborg. The cyborg shows us, in that sense, how our old Western traditions are unnecessarily emphasizing gender. If we create AIs like Nathan does, only to serve and please us with nice female bodies, we make no actual progress as a species, but just reprogram old patriarchal ideas in new forms of non-human entity. Using posthumanism to understand this, blurring the lines between what we see as the natural and the material world, we can see that people are becoming as much the machines that they have created, and the machines are as much the people that have created them. This can make us sometimes a bit anxious as humans because we feel like the robots are taking over, we will become extinct. But what we should really be worried about are not the robots themselves, but the ones that have control and power over them. And I think Ex Machina illustrates this well. Yes, Nathan is killed by Ava, and yes, she locks her relatively innocent friend up and leaves him to die. But these are the consequences of Nathan's and Caleb's own actions, of the material and immaterial programming that have influenced Ava through the networks of systems. She has been programmed to use her seductive powers to manipulate and lie for her own gain, whilst being locked up and treated as an object. All of this is then processed through the involved networks of systems communicating and learning from each other. Posthumanistic readings of sci-fi can teach us the possible outcomes of future technological developments, and in that way Ex Machina is a cautionary tale. It shows us if we want to stay humane as a species, we need to make sure that our non-humans are treated with respect.